Hello, warm evening to everyone. My name is Pritesh Maturkar. I welcome you all to the fourth lecture of an innovative series called as Geography to Maps. I welcome you all on the behalf of StudyIQ IAS English curriculum, and we are here to support you with your basic preparation, with your intermediate preparation, as well as with your advanced preparation. The curriculum entitled as Geography Through Maps has been started especially for you guys, wherein you can use this curriculum to build upon your basic conceptual clarity of the discipline called as geography, and we will be using locational knowledge. We will be using interlinkation of this locational knowledge so that you have a working understanding of this discipline, because geography will always require two things. It will require locational analysis, and it will require the interlinkage of that analysis. So my role over here with each and every one of you is that I need to make you perfect in analyzing maps, in studying maps, and using these maps for your prelims preparation, using these maps in your mains answers, and also improving your character as well as personality so that it gets reflected in your interview too. Okay. So before beginning, I will just like to introduce myself. My name is Pritesh Maturkar. Those of you who are watching me for the first time, please take note of my name and please take note of the Telegram channel. You can join this channel via this link, telegram.me geography underscore PM. The name of the channel is Geography by Pritesh sir. If you join this channel, so there I keep on posting on a daily basis the relevant material which is very important from the current affairs perspective, even some innovative, informative tidbits with regards to the geography discipline. And this will help you in perfecting your knowledge of three subjects. Number first, geography. Number two, environment. And number three, ecology too. And if you join this channel, I will also be uploading some important PDFs. I will also be uploading some of the important answers too of the previous year's analysis. So this will be an wholesome knowledge for you all in terms of your preparation. Okay. So I urge you all to join this channel, and I urge you all to be with me in this discourse for eternity so that your basic understanding of geography GS is done. Okay. If you follow this curriculum, roughly this will cover 50 to 60% of your GS curriculum. Your basic concepts will be clear, and this knowledge will help you in grasping the advanced level concepts too, which the UPSC is demanding nowadays. Okay. No need to worry, guys. Don't fear. Okay. We are here. I am here. Okay. So we will sail through this very, very smoothly. I hope that those who have attended my earlier sessions are very comfortable with me. Those of who are watching me for the first time today, it's my humble request to go through the previous sessions, because these sessions will be in continuum. Hence, you are seeing the lecture number 4. Tomorrow it will be lecture number 5. So we'll be in a continuation sequence, and these lectures will help you in preparing, especially if you are appearing your examination next year. So please make sure that you are in line with these lectures. Again, I will be reiterating that I will be sticking my analysis, I will be sticking my coverage to the 11th NCERTs, both of them, and the book entitled GC Leon. Okay, so these three uh, references I will be using for teaching you in this curriculum. So let's begin before any further ado. Okay. So yesterday I introduced you to the equator, I introduced you to the tropics, and I introduced you to the Arctic and the Antarctic Circle too. Okay. So I will be continuing from there on today. I will be just quickly revising whatever we did yesterday. So yesterday I introduced you to the Arctic Circle and the Antarctic Circle. The Arctic Circle is denoted by a latitude called as 66.5 degree north, whereas the Antarctic Circle is denoted by 66.5 degrees south. Okay, what do these two latitudes denote? These two latitudes denote that above these areas means from 66.5 degrees north to above, and from 66.5 degrees south to below, up to the north and south pole, up to the north and south pole, you will have no trees. Okay, you will have no trees. Okay, number two, these will be the areas of permafrost. Okay, permafrost. permafrost means these areas will be permanently frozen. Okay, so basically the cryosphere of the earth, if I'm utilizing one common name for this is called as the cryosphere of the earth. Okay, so cryosphere does also include the glaciers, it does also includes the snowfall, but majority of the cryosphere of earth, dare I say 70%, will be included in this part, upwards of 66.5 degree north and 66.5 degree south. Okay, the third thing which both of these latitudes will denote, these latitudes denote what? At least one day, at least one day to the north and south of this, you will have 24 hours of daylight. On when? On summer solstice. And you will have at least 24 hours of darkness. 24 hours of darkness on what? On winter solstice. Okay. And mind you, these things will get opposite with the opposing poles. So on 21st of June, you will have 24 hours daylight on the northern pole, whereas you will have 24-hour darkness on the southern pole, whereas the exact thing will happen opposite on 22nd of December. 22nd of December, you will have perpetual daylight on the south pole, whereas perpetual darkness on the north pole because of the axial tilt and the orientation of Earth with respect to the sun. So this was what I introduced to you all yesterday, and we also saw some of the regions through which this passes. I introduced you to a region called as Lapland. Okay, so today I will be continuing my discussions from here on. So before I move forward to the discussion of the countries through which equator passes, the countries through which the tropics pass, I would like to highlight few of the important geophysical phenomenon with respect to the equator and with respect to the tropics. So, if I consider equator, if I consider equator, so let's draw the equator for you all. Okay, so this is our sun. Okay. Consider what I'm drawing now as our earth. Okay, earth will be bulging at the center and flattening at the poles. So I'm drawing two positions of earth with respect to the sun. So I'm considering two important dates. On the left hand side, I'm considering a date called as summer solstice. So I'm considering 21st of June. And on the right hand side, I'm considering a date called as winter solstice. So I'm considering 22nd of December. So as you all know, on 21st of June, the northern hemisphere will be directly pointing the sun. So I'm drawing the axis of the earth with respect to the sun now. So let us assume that this is the axial tilt of the earth and this is the axial tilt of the earth. Okay, let us assume that this is our equator and this is our equator. Okay, so now if you see the position of equator with respect to the sun, you have to keep in mind two things. What two things you need to keep in mind? The position of equator with respect to the sun is fixed throughout the year. This means what? That on equator you will always have sunlight which is at 90 degree with respect to the surface of earth. So two things you need to keep in mind, that the position of equator with respect to the sun is always fixed throughout the year, and number two, because of this the sun's rays will fall perpendicularly on the equator. So I'm showcasing you with respect to the diagram. So if I'm considering this as 21st of June, and if you see this, the incident sun rays, and if I'm considering the 22nd of December, and okay, so if you see both of these angles, okay, this angle and this angle, so this and this angle is perfectly 90 degree. Okay, this is our southern hemisphere, this is our northern hemisphere. So in spite of, I'm considering the two extremes of the Earth's orbit around the Sun, because 21st of June and 22nd of December will coincide with the extremities, not the extremities per se. The aphelion and perihelion of Earth are rather in the months of July and in the months of January. So I'm considering some of the most extreme positions of the Earth with respect to the Sun. So even on 21st of June and 22nd of December, equator will receive perpendicular sunlight, and this perpendicular incidence of sunlight is constant throughout the year with respect to the sun. So because of this, what happens on equator, because of continuous solar insolation on the equator surface, you have intense vertical convection. Vertical convection means what? That because of the perpendicular incidence of the solar energy, you will continuously have the water vapor, you will continuously have the water being evaporated, if I'm explaining in very crude terms. So equator will be characterized by what? Equator will be characterized by almost continuous vertical convection upliftment. I will be writing down these words in front of you on the board in a movement, but please understand this. Why? Because the position of equator with respect to the sun is fixed. Because of this, the sun's rays always fall perpendicularly on the equator because of the axial tilt and because of the orbit of Earth around the sun. And this results in what? This results in continuous vertical upliftment of the air because of the solar insolation. As the sun's energy will fall on the equator, it will hit up the equatorial regions, and because of this, air will always rise up from the equator. So, if I'm explaining you in a very crude diagram, so let's assume that this is the surface of the equator globally. Let's assume that this is the surface of equator globally. The position of this surface, okay, okay, the position of this surface, the position of this surface is fixed with respect to sun, is fixed with respect to the sun, and the sun's rays will always fall perpendicularly on this surface. The angle of incidence will always be 90 degree. So because of this, what will happen? You will have continuous vertical upliftment of air due to thermal convection. So equatorial regions, equatorial regions will have what? Equatorial regions will be characterized by what? Continuous vertical vertical upliftment upliftment of air of air. And mind you, this will be because of thermal properties. Okay, continuous vertical thermal upliftment. Why? Because the sun's rays are always falling at a perpendicular angle with respect to the equator. Hence equatorial regions will always be characterized by continuous vertical upliftment. Because of this, what will happen? Because of this continuous vertical upliftment, the equatorial regions will have will have cloud cover, will have cloud cover throughout the year, will have cloud cover throughout the year, throughout the year. And mind you, this cloud cover will be very thick. This cloud cover will be very thick because of continuous vertical upliftment of air, because of continuous vertical convection, and this will result into the formation of a cloud called as cumulonimbus. Cumulonimbus cloud. Okay, cumulonimbus cloud is a very big cloud. It will extend for the entire height of the troposphere per se. We are not going to technical detail. Just remember the name of the cloud. It is called as cumulonimbus cloud. Cumulonimbus cloud is a cloud with a great vertical extent, and hence, so this is the first feature of the equatorial regions. The second feature, and hence, because of this, what will happen? You will have continuous downpour. You will have continuous downpour. Okay, you will have continuous downpour or rainfall or rainfall on the equatorial regions. You will have continuous downfall or rainfall on the equatorial regions. So, if anyone asks you, can you please define the equatorial regions for us? So, your answer should be that the position of the equatorial regions with respect to the sun is fixed throughout the year, 365 days, 24/7. Because of this, the sun's rays are falling perpendicularly on the equator throughout the year. And because of this, you are having continuous vertical upliftment of air due to thermal convection. And because of this, you will have continuous cloud cover over the equator throughout the year. And mind you, this cloud cover will be very thick, and the name of the cloud, it is called as cumulonimbus. Cumulonimbus clouds are clouds with a great vertical extent, and they also stretch for nearly like many kilometers too, but their vertical extent is very high. Okay, and because of this, you will have continuous downpour or rainfall on the equator. Hence, guys, this is the most important thing that I'll be discussing, and I'm writing it in red. Hence, hence, the equatorial regions, hence, the regions, equatorial regions will receive number one, rainfall throughout the year, throughout the year, throughout the year, and this rainfall will be very intense. This rainfall will be very intense, and the equatorial regions will be some of the wettest regions of the world. Therefore, equatorial regions will be some of the wettest regions of the world. Some of the wettest regions of the world, and this will result into what? This will result into number two. This will result into what? This will result, or this will conclude as the equatorial regions being characterized by evergreen, dense evergreen, dense evergreen, equatorial, equatorial rainforests. Okay, dense equatorial rainforests. Please mind you guys, this is very important info. The equatorial regions will be characterized by what? They will be characterized by dense evergreen equatorial rainforests. So anywhere you go on the equator, you will always find what? Dense equatorial evergreen rainforest. Why the term evergreen? Because the rainfall is continuous throughout the year. Okay. And why it is continuous? Because the position of equator with respect to the sun is fixed, and hence because of this you are having continuous vertical upliftment of air due to thermal convection cells, and because of this you will have a very dense forest cover on the equator anywhere on the world. Okay, mind you guys, I'm talking anywhere in the world. So the equatorial regions will always be characterized by what? Dense evergreen equatorial rainforests. Okay, I will go on explaining the characteristics of this forest too in a bit, but for now, just remember this. Anywhere on the equator you go, you will always find what? Dense tree cover. Okay, so if you open up your atlas and if you see the equatorial regions, it will be marked in dark green, indicating what? That the vegetation over here is very dense. Why? Because you are having continuous downpour. So now I will be discussing two or three very important things with regards to the characteristics of equatorial regions, the vegetation, and the typical day on the equator, from wherein UPSC normally tends to ask you the questions. Okay, so let's move ahead, guys. So now I have discussed that equatorial regions will be characterized by rainfall. So let us now move ahead with the weather and climate of the equatorial regions too. So as I told you that the equatorial regions will be characterized by thick cloud cover. So but naturally the climate of the equatorial regions, if I'm discussing the climate of the equatorial regions, so the climate will be number one, it will be very humid climate. Okay, why humid climate? Because the percentage water vapor concentration, the percentage water vapor proportion, will be very high, approximately 4 to 5% of the atmosphere. Okay, so around 4 to 5 percentage of the atmospheric air will be saturated by water vapor. Okay, why? Because of this intense cloud cover, so the conditions will be very humid. Okay, number two, the climatic conditions will be very wet. Why very wet? Because you have rainfall which is continuous throughout the year, throughout the year which is continuous throughout the year. And number three, okay, the conditions will not be hot, the conditions will rather be somewhat warm conditions. Why not hot and why not warm? Okay, please understand the difference. Okay, there is a difference between hot and warm. Hot means what? The sun is shining incessantly. So if you consider the deserts are very hot, they are very dry. Whereas if you consider the equatorial regions, guys, you are having permanent cloud cover over them. And what do these clouds would do? They will reflect back the sunlight. So, equatorial regions will not be that much hot regions. You must be feeling that sun's rays are falling perpendicularly on the equator. This means that the equatorial regions will be very hot. They will be very dry. But guys, exactly opposite happens. Okay, it is man proposes, God disposes kind of thing. So the nature God says that no, in spite of you receiving the sunlight which is almost perpendicular, because of intense thick cloud cover, this cloud cover will reflect back all the sunlight from the upper regions of atmosphere itself, and hence the atmosphere or the climate will not be as warm, not be as hot, my bad, it will rather be warm. Okay, warm, but with what kind of conditions? Enervating conditions. Okay, what do you mean by enervating conditions? Enervating conditions means tiring conditions. Why tiring conditions? Because of high humidity. Why tiring conditions? Because of very high humidity. Okay, this is very, very important. Okay, so let's say if you go to a coastal city, okay, where the humidity is very high, so your body immediately starts sweating. Okay, consider you going to a coastal location in India. Let's say you are in Mumbai, you are in Goa. Okay, you are preparing for civil service examination from Goa. Okay, I don't know whether you will be able to prepare, but okay, let's assume that you are in Goa and you are preparing for civil service examination. So you will immediately start to perspire. Why? Because the outside humidity is so damn high that your body starts sweating because of osmosis. Okay, so hence the equatorial regions will be characterized by humid, warm, enervating conditions. Hence, living in equatorial regions is not that easy. Okay, because you will continuously sweat. Okay, a positive side for this, that as you will sweat, your body will get detoxified, your skin will become somewhat glowish. So if you see the people of the equatorial regions, except Africa per se, because of genetics, their skin is not that light. But if you go to the Southeast in Asia, if you go to Central Mexico, if you go to South America, so the people over there tend to have very good healthy skin. Why? Because it sweats a lot. So your skin health is maintained in a sweaty environment. Otherwise, if your skin pores get blocked, your skin is not able to breathe, then it is a harbinger for diseases per se. Okay. So jokes aside, let's move forward. So please remember this, guys. Climate wise, equatorial region will be like this. So if I'm considering a day on equator, if I'm considering a day on equator, so how will be a day on equator? I'm reiterating, how will be a day on equator? So I'm starting my day by approximately 6 a.m. So from 6 a.m. to around 12 p.m., 6 a.m. to 12 p.m., humidity will increase. Humidity will start increasing. Okay, humidity will start increasing. Okay, the cloud cover, the cloud cover will also start increasing. Okay, from 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. Okay, from 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. conditions for thunderstorm rainfall. Okay, for thunderstorm thunderstorm or conventional rainfall or convectional rainfall will develop. Convectional rainfall will develop will develop. Okay, from 4 p.m. to roughly 10 p.m. Okay, you will have very very heavy rainfall. You will have very heavy rainfall. You will have very heavy rainfall. And from 10 p.m. to around 6 a.m. The sky will slightly clear off. Sky will slightly slightly clear off. The sky will slightly clear off. Okay. So the best time to party on equator is from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. So if you go to cities like Singapore, Kuala Lumpur, all of the nightlife cities in the world. Okay. Why? See, the nightlife is even linked to geography, because rest of the day, if you party, you will sweat like anything and you will end up in the hospital. You will have to have a saline. You will have to have sugars. Okay. Rest of the time, you cannot party. Only in the night time you can party on the equatorial region. So this is a typical day on the equator per se. Okay. So two times the question have been asked from this area in your prelims part. So please make sure that you are very comfortable with this. If I'm giving you a very crude understanding of this, crude understanding in the sense that in the night time the sky will be clear, the humidity will be less. As soon as you have sunrise, sunrise will be between 5:45 to 6:15. As soon as the sun comes up, the humidity starts to build up. In the afternoon, the sky will get overcast with very thick clouds. In the late evening, you will have the rainfall which will start. It will continue till night, and again the sky will clear off. So this is the cycle which is fixed, and this cycle will repeat. And mind you, this cycle will repeat 24/7, 365 days a year. 365. Let me write down in red so that you are all getting this properly. So this cycle will continue This cycle will continue 24/7, 365 days a year. Okay, 365 days a year. Okay, please keep this in mind. So, because of this, what will happen? Equatorial regions, equatorial regions, equatorial regions will have will have no seasons. Will have no seasons. Like we have in India, we have summer, we have the summer monsoon season, we have the winter season, we have the spring season. So equatorial regions will be characterized by absolutely no seasons. Okay, please make sure you are getting this. Okay, and number two, equatorial regions will not be the hottest regions of the world. Will not be the hottest regions. Will not be the hottest regions of the world. Will not be the hottest regions of the world. Okay, so this is a typical characteristic of the equatorial climate, of the equatorial life per se. Very humid, very enervating kind of life over there. The best time to party is from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. So good nightlife on the equatorial regions. Okay, so these are the most important characteristics of the equatorial regions, and because of this, the vegetation on the equator will be very dense. So let us move to the discussion of vegetation too. I will cover in detail the vegetation in the later sessions, but I'm just introducing you today to the equatorial vegetation. The equatorial vegetation will be number one. It will be very dense. It will be very dense. Number two, the trees will fight for sunlight. The trees will fight for sunlight. Will fight will fight for sunlight. The trees will fight for sunlight. Okay, and the trees will be mostly hardwood trees. Hardwood trees. Okay, and you can also have creepers. Okay, you can also have creepers and dense bushes dense bushes. Okay, dense bushes. Okay, so the hardwood trees will be very high in height, whereas the creepers and the dense bushes will cover the lower areas of the ground. So if I'm showcasing the vegetation of equator to you all on a, let's say, mm, image. So let's search for the image too, so that you have a working understanding. Okay, let's put this digital board to use. Okay. So this is how the equatorial vegetation looks like. Okay, if I'm showcasing you all, okay. So this is one of the image. Okay. See the density of the vegetation over there. Okay, so we compare two images simultaneously. Okay, this image will solve the purpose for you. Okay, so this is the arrangement of the vegetation in on the equator. So on the lower side, you will have the forest floor. It is called as the understory layer. So here you can have bushes. Here you can have bushes. Okay. Here you can have creepers. Here you can have creepers. Okay. The canopy layer. Okay. The canopy layer will be very thick. You will have hardwood trees. You will have hardwood trees. Okay, whereas the emergent layer, wherein you can have the trees which can compete for sunlight, these trees can reach to a great extent. Okay, so this will not be hardwood trees per se. Okay, so these trees will be those trees which will be fighting for sunlight and which can reach the uppermost layers of the forest. So canopy trees. If I'm showcasing you these trees over here, okay, so if you can see the trees over here, so these are the canopy trees. See the vertical extent. Okay, these are the hardwood trees over here, and the lowermost area over here, you will have the bushes, wherein these bushes cannot fight for the sunlight. They are only limited to over here, so their height is stunted. So, equatorial vegetation is all a fight for sunlight. Please remember this. Okay. Very crude understanding of this. I have not yet introduced to the tree species. I will do it in the later sessions. But just remember, you will have hardwood trees, you will have bushes, you will have creepers, and the canopy cover will be very dense on the equator. So these are some of the characteristics of the equatorial vegetation per se. Okay, so these are some of the characteristics of the equatorial vegetation. Okay, and mind you, equatorial regions will never be the hottest regions of the world. Why? Because of the intense cloud cover. Okay, so before any further ado, now let us begin with the countries through which equator passes. So I'm opening up the map dimension for you all now. So I'll be opening up the political maps of those countries through which the equator passes. Your job now will be is to take down those countries in your notes and to mark the countries very properly. Okay. Before I move forward, I want each and every one of you who will be joining me in the next class to have a atlas with you. Okay. The name it in bold. It is Orient, Orient Black Swan. Orient Black Swan. Orient Black Swan. It is abbreviated as OBS. Orient Black Swan School Atlas. Okay, Orient Black Swan School Atlas, 8th edition. Okay, 8th edition. Those of you who are listening to this lecture and those of you who will be seeing this lecture, so from my next lecture, please keep this atlas handy with you so that you can have a working understanding of whatever I'm teaching you. Of course, I'll be utilizing the maps per se with you all, but please keep this atlas handy with you so that you can understand it even better when I will be marking up the countries. Okay. So please make sure that you are keeping Orient Black Swan School Atlas with you all present in all these sessions. Okay. So now let's move ahead. I am first of all discussing with you the countries through which the equator passes. So my way of teaching the countries is from west to east. I will be moving from west to east for everyone. It's your call how you remember the countries. You can remember the countries from east to west to, you can remember the countries from west to east to. Okay, my way of teaching will be from west to east. Okay, Abhay, the schedule of the classes will be from 5 to 6 only. Okay, every day. Okay, so today I'm introducing you to the equator. Okay, the countries through which the equator passes globally, and what you can expect you to find on the equator person. Okay, so I'm beginning with South America because I will be moving from west and then I will be moving towards east. So please jot down the countries through which equator passes. I'm also marking on the equator. You can have a pen and paper with you and jot down the entries. Those of you who are watching these lectures and those of you who will be joining me in a later date, please make sure that you are bringing a copy and a pen to these lectures, because just listening to these lectures, just seeing on the board will not help you in memorizing, will not help you in getting acquainted with the atlas. So please go through the atlas properly and please go through whatever I'm teaching very properly. Okay. Abhay, you don't need to go through GC Leon. That is why I'm taking these lectures. I will cover everything for you. So don't need to worry. Just bear with me. We will be covering the NCRTs, we'll be covering GC Leon too. Okay. Just trust me very blindly with regards to the coverage. Okay. So the first area through which equator passes, it's in the Pacific Ocean. You have a small island group over here, if you can see on the board. Okay, and you can also see in your atlas this island group. This is called as Galapagos. Galapagos. Okay. Galapagos is ruled by Ecuador only. So Ecuador rules Galapagos, and Galapagos is very famous. Why? Because Galapagos is where Charles Darwin gave his theory of evolution. Okay. So please make sure that you are remembering this very properly. Galapagos and Charles Darwin is very much in use because in 12th NCERT his reference is now completely omitted. So we don't know where the evolution of human beings is now going, but you should remember that equator does pass through Galapagos. Okay. After Galapagos, the equator passes through Ecuador. The name of the country itself, Ecuador, is based on equator only. Okay. After equator, it passes through Colombia. After Colombia, it passes through Brazil. So the three countries in Africa through which equator passes, you have Ecuador, you have Colombia, and you have Brazil. And Galapagos is ruled by Ecuador only, so no need to have a separate entry, but please keep this in mind. Okay, so number one, number two, and number three. So these are the countries through which the equator passes through South America. And now, if you see South America's physical map, if I'm opening up the South America's physical map for every one of you, okay, so let us open the South America's physical map too. Okay, so this is South America. This is Galapagos. Okay, this is Ecuador, this is Colombia, and this is Brazil. So if you can see this part of South America, this part of South America, you can very well see on the board itself that this part is completely green. Okay, very dark green per se on the board. Why this is dark green? Because this is where you have the rainforests of Amazon. The Amazon River, the mighty Amazon, the biggest river on earth, drains through this part. Hence, this is called as Amazon Basin. Okay, and Amazon, as you all know, Amazon rainforests are the world's biggest rainforests, and Amazon rainforests, they are called as the selvas of the world. They are called as what? Selvas of the world. Why selvas? Selvas locally mean the lungs of the world. Why lungs of the world? Because the Amazon rainforest, they pump roughly 17% of world's oxygen. They pump roughly 17% of the world's oxygen. They pump roughly 17% of the world's oxygen. And why do you have rainforest? I've already explained, because the equatorial regions will be those regions where you will have incessant rainfall throughout the year. Hence, because of this, you have the world's biggest rainforest in South America called as the selvas. Selvas, the local name of the Amazon rainforests. But here comes a catch. This is very important. Please listen to me very properly. A current affairs discussion. Okay. The Amazon, in spite of being the world's lungs, right now they have become net carbon emitters. Right now, the Amazon rainforest has become net carbon emitter. Okay. Why this has become net carbon emitter? This you will do as a homework. Okay, I will of course be discussing tomorrow that why Amazon rainforest has become net carbon emitter. But I think that it is your responsibility too, and you should reciprocate me through, even if I'm doing this. So please see today that why Amazon rainforest has now become net carbon emitter. And the answer is very simple. It is linked to lifestyle of the human beings, and this has resulted into even more global warming and climate change per se. So tomorrow I'll be discussing why we have the Amazon rainforest as the net carbon emitter. Okay, so please make sure that you are comfortable with this info, that the regions through which the equator passes through South America, it is called as the Amazon basin. The mighty Amazon drains through this region. Amazon is the world's biggest river. The Amazon rainforest, they are also called as the selvas of the world. They pump roughly 17% of the world's oxygen. But now, because of anthropogenic activities, which I will be highlighting you all tomorrow, Amazon has now become a net carbon emitter. And this is very, very bad for the entire humanity. Okay. So now let's move forward to the discussion of the African countries, and the rest of the African, the Congo Basin, I'll be highlighting you all tomorrow. Okay. So now let's begin with the discussion of the countries through which equator passes through Africa. Okay. So the first country through which equator passes through Africa is a very small island country. This is a very small island country. This country is called as, if I'm zooming in, okay, if I'm zooming in, so this is a very small country. This is called as Sao Tome and Principe. Sao Tome and Principe. Okay. Please make sure that you are getting this name properly. Okay. Sao Tome and Principe. Abhay, you are right that Amazon is experiencing forest fires, but why? That is the main reason. Okay, so we will discuss it tomorrow. Don't worry. Okay, so Tau Tope and Principe. The second country through which equator passes through Africa. So this is number one. This is number two, Gabon. Number three, you have the Republic of Congo. Number four, you have the Democratic Republic of Congo. Number five, you have Uganda. Number six, you have Kenya. And number seven, you have Somalia. And you have one very important water body in equatorial Africa. You have Lake Victoria. You have Lake Victoria. Lake Victoria is the source of one of the head streams of Nile, the White Nile. Okay, so Lake Victoria is also on the equatorial regions of Africa. So these are the countries through which the equator passes through Africa. Okay, Sao Tope and Principe, you have Gabon. Number three, you have the Republic of Congo. Then you have the Democratic Republic of Congo. You have Uganda. You have Kenya. And lastly, you have Somalia. Okay, so these are the countries through which equator passes through Africa. After this, equator enters into the Indian Ocean region. Okay, I will be discussing the Congo part. I will be discussing the physical aspects of this in tomorrow's lecture. I'm now quickly doing with the countries through which equator passes. Okay, After moving out of Africa, the equator enters into the Indian Ocean. Okay. So after coming out of Africa, equator enters into Indian Ocean, and equator passes through a country called as Maldives. After Maldives, the equator cuts across Indonesia. So Indonesia is where you have the island of Java and Sumatra. You have four major islands of Indonesia. You have Java, Sumatra, you have island of Bali and Lombok. And recently, Indonesia has also shifted its capital to a island called as Borneo. So again, a home assignment for you, which is the new capital of Indonesia. So after Maldives, it passes through Indonesia. It passes through the island of Borneo. Okay, this is the island of Borneo. So if I'm zooming in on this island, okay, so this is the island of Borneo for you all. Okay, island of Borneo has three countries. You have Indonesia, you have Malaysia, and you have Brunei. Okay, but equator does not pass through Malaysia and Brunei. Equator will only pass through Indonesia, and after that, equator enters into Oceania. And in Oceania, it passes through one of the most important countries of the Polynesian group. I'm again reiterating, it passes through Maldives, it passes through Indonesia, it does pass through the island of Borneo, but it does not pass through Malaysia and Brunei. After that, it enters into Oceania, and in Oceanic Islands, it passes through one important country of the Polynesian group. Okay, and the name of the country is Kiribati. Okay, the name of the country is Kiribati. Okay, the name of the country is Kiribati. If you can see over here, these are our oceanic island countries. So the name of the country is Kiribati. Okay. So please make sure that you are doing this too. Okay. So these are our oceanic island countries. You have three island groups. You have Micronesia, Melanesia, and Polynesia. So Kiribati is among the Polynesian group. So it also passes through Kiribati. So these are some of the countries through which equator passes. So I have not yet touched the physical aspects of equator passing through Africa and through Asia. I'll be discussing these aspects tomorrow. I'm once again reiterating my name for you all. Okay, my name is Pritesh Maturkar. You can reach out to me on a Telegram channel called as Geography by Pritesh Sir, wherein I keep on posting the relevant materials with regards to geography discipline, and the joining link is geography_PM. So please join this Telegram channel, and from tomorrow onwards, we will even more continue with the physical aspects of the equator, and I will introduce you to the tropics tomorrow. Okay, so on a similar basis, we'll cover the entire world through maps. I hope that this exercise is very lucid for you all and you are getting this, and I expect more and more number of you to join me these sessions from tomorrow onwards. And please bring Orient Black Swan Atlas to the sessions and keep a pen and copy with you. Before ending, I will just like to say UPSC is a journey of consistency. The more the consistent you will be, the more you will do smart hard work, the more is the chance of your success. Okay. So I sign off for today. Tomorrow onwards, we'll be continuing from this aspect only. I expect to see you all at 5 p.m. sharp tomorrow. Okay.